What if somebody you knew set it up to make it look like your Game Boy had been engaging in illegal activity? Would you say that your Game Boy had been framed? So today's product actually took my breath away when I first unpackaged it. This was sent over to me for review by Xreart or Xreart. I'm not sure how to say their name, but it was sent over so we could review it, take a look at it, and see if it's right for people with game rooms and game collections and just, gaming setups. But just take a look at this thing. It is absolutely beautiful and absolutely stunning. There's so many little things going on here, but it's also being very professional at the same time. The version of this product that was sent to me is the Game Boy Pocket version, and they have tons of different versions of the Game Boy available for purchase as well. Now, outside of Game Boys, they also have things like iPhones, old versions of iPhones, and other tech things that they find broken versions of, and they kind of explode them out and make them into these masterpieces. Another cool thing that they have, if you don't want to pay the bigger price tag for these frames, is they have the DIY route, and they provide all the materials that you need, the glue, the tools, the backgrounds and frames, everything that you need in order to make it yourself. You just go find a Game Boy and you can take it apart and make it just like their frames. But to break it down, what this is exactly is they've taken a Game Boy and they've taken it all apart and they've placed it onto this beautiful background in order to make this kind of schematic-like exploded version of the internals of these Game Boys. In my opinion, one of the smartest inclusions in this entire thing is having the labeling on that background and having every little part labeled, also with a line that goes to where it would belong on the actual body of the Game Boy. So it's just really cool to kind of see all these different pieces and find out where they go, and it just looks really smart. All these little pieces of the Game Boy are glued to the backing there, and they do provide the glue on their website if you're going that DIY route. One thing that I can say for sure is things on this were glued very well to the board. This went through shipping, and it just had a bubble wrap on the outside of the box. The box actually had some foam inserts in order to make sure that it didn't move around that much or break. But the glue held on to all those items for that travel, and on top of it, halfway through this review or so, I actually dropped it a couple feet onto the ground, onto the corner. The corner chipped a little bit, but all the items inside stayed attached. So I can definitely attest that the glue is good. One note about some damage to the frame that I saw when it first arrived, there was kind of a scratch on one of the edges of the corners, and this was actually painted black over. So it's somewhere in the manufacturing, there's kind of a scratch or a dent going into the frame, and you can see it when you're kind of looking at it under the light, but when it's sticking to your wall and when you have it all mounted, it just disappears, so it's not that big of an issue. The frame itself is a basic wooden frame, nothing super special. It's kind of simple, which I think is the right thing to do in this scenario. Kind of when you display games, you want a kind of a simple display in order to show the game itself. The same thing goes for this, where you have a simple frame and you have all this beautiful Game Boy here in the middle, and it just looks fantastic. The frame itself has a clear cover, which you may assume is glass. That's what I initially assumed this to be, but this was actually a piece of plastic that is put over the top. And that does bring in a few different issues when it comes to scratches. There's a portion of the main board of the Game Boy that sticks out enough to actually touch the inside of that plastic, and you can see that during shipping there's these little tiny scratches that appeared on the inside of the plastic. So definitely one of those things where you want to be extra careful when you go and clean the plastic, because even big enough dust particles are going to leave scratches on that plastic, and over time, if you wash it wrong enough times, it could become a big scratched mess. The frame also has a mounting method on the back, of course, and in this case it's two little eyes that are in the back, so you can mount it onto two different nails. This is not my typical go-to mounting method for anything, because it means I have to put two nails in the wall, I have to make sure that they're level, I have to make sure that the right distance to the little eyelets on the back of the frame as well. Definitely makes it more sturdy. It's not going to rock back and forth, and I'm not going to have to readjust the frame after putting it up there for the first time, but it is enough for me to kind of consider going out and getting one of these simple tack-on one-point items where I can just put it on the wall on one nail. But holy cow, look at this thing. It is a beautiful beast. It's a beautiful creature. This thing looks like it can go in an office environment with people who don't even like video games. They could come up to this and just be in awe of all these little parts and pieces. it has this vibe about it that it feels like you could put this in a game room, in a gaming space, an office, a living room, and no one's really gonna take issue with you having this piece of gaming nostalgia. And while I'm not one of the people to worry about what other people think about my gaming habits or what I collect, it is nice to see a piece that is beautiful, hits all the right spots of nostalgia, but also can carry over into other spaces where people would appreciate it. But I just really like those things that kind of transcend that line between gamers and non-gamers. This is something that any person would want to walk up to and kind of check out and take a look at. So as always, the main conversation is going to be around that price tag. And these range from $169 to $199 for these Game Boy displays. And that's definitely no small chunk of change when it comes to buying a piece of art that's going to be going on your wall in your game room or office or wherever. I personally have seen things kind of like this on Etsy before, where one person is making them and they can skyrocket through the roof with the prices for these. They can be way over $200 and crazy expensive. What you do have to keep in mind is that there is a little bit of labor involved in making something like this. They do have to acquire the Game Boy, they have to take apart the Game Boy, they have to glue all the pieces properly to the back here, and they have to do this in a bulk fashion. So they're making a lot of these, and they're probably hand placing every single item that's in these. You can see a little bit of error here and there, nothing too noticeable, but these seem like they're handmade. So all in all in these, I don't think they're too crazy priced, but it's definitely a big chunk of change to think about when it comes to artwork for a gaming space. But that being said, there's also the other route. You could pay around 60 bucks, get all the items that you need. You have to acquire your own Game Boy on top of that and make sure you have the tools to take a Game Boy apart, but you could get their frame and their background and put all your pieces in their places and it would look awesome as well. They also have the PDF files for their background, so you can also purchase some of those, or you can get some free ones that they have as well. And you can print those out and get your own frame and put it all together all by yourself, which is pretty cool as well. I do like that the company has kind of thought about a couple different directions here. They know some people are just going to want to buy this thing and put it on their wall, which is, in my opinion, a lot of people, that's what they do. And then they know there's a sect of people who is going to go out there and want to make it themselves after seeing this. So they're providing those tools as well. And those are definitely two different, tiers when it comes to how much money you're paying. So big props to Xreart for keeping those lanes open, allowing more people to kind of enjoy a product like this. But when it comes to this frame, I am pretty stoked overall. When I opened up the package, it was just like, wow, I got to go show this to my wife and show her. And she was just, wow, it's just a very impressive piece to hang anywhere in your space. It's very, very cool. And while I do have a few little nitpicks about it that I do hope they evolve into in the future and kind of fix, for me, this thing just kind of delivers nostalgia straight to the brain while still being kind of adult in fashion. It's not too far any direction. It has the kind of schematic vibe, which is really cool nowadays. I put this up in my office and I've had it there for a couple weeks now, and it has kind of improved my environment. I think it is a really cool piece to have in an office or a game room. And just when you walk in there, you look at this thing and it feels right. And a quick reminder about using old Game Boys, just make sure that the Game Boy that you pick, if you are gonna DIY this, is a broken Game Boy. A lot of Game Boys out there are totally serviceable. They just have a couple parts in them that don't work and they can be replaced. But if you go on eBay, you can find some really dead Game Boys and use those for the DIY and make a really cool art piece out of them. So what do you think about this kind of schematicified version of the Game Boy being put in a frame and up for display? Do you like the idea of this as an art piece? Is the price the thing that you get hung up on? Are you one of the people that's out there gonna DIY one of these to add to their collection? Definitely let me know in the comments below. I'm always down there checking out everything to see what people's opinions are, how people feel about certain things. I know some people might be offended that a Game Boy is being put into a frame, and other people might see it as a good recycling use for really old broken Game Boys. But yeah, let me know in the comment section. So thanks for coming and checking out the video today. If you did like this video, please leave a like on the video. It really helps a lot. It's a very big deal to see those likes coming in. It helps me kind of decide what I'm going to do in the future with the channel, as well as subscribing to the channel, of course, hitting the bell to hit all those notifications so that you don't miss a video. YouTube does like to kind of switch around who they're recommending to you, so just keep that in mind. But outside of that, I think you're awesome. Thank you for coming by, and have a fantastic day and collect what you love.